So next we got the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona's a team that definitely has their rebuilding phase. Definitely a team that still needs to rebuild. There's a lot of holes that they got in this team. Definitely far from being a contender, but they're still able to have positive pieces, able to have positive things to them. So, again, this is just a team that's just trying to be competitive again, and it's going to take a couple years until, if they can do the right moves of drafting, and they definitely have past couple years. So, if they can continue to do that, maybe bring in some guys to come into the Cardinals organization. I mean, there's a lot there that they can do, but it is a long road for the team. It's not like it's going to be easy for them. They just have a lot of unanswered holes. They were 4-13 last year. They were 2-6 at home, 2-7 away, 0-6 in their division. 330 points scored, 455 points gave up. They were 20th in passing yards with 184.9, fourth in rushing yards with 139.1, 24th in points for with 19.4, and they were second to last in points against, giving up 26.8. So, again, there's a lot that they need to take care of, and let's just look at their roster. Looking at the Cardinals roster, we start with their three wide receiver, one tight end set offense. At left tackle, they got Paris Johnson, who's young. He just got drafted, still developing. Definitely a guy that can be pretty crucial, can be a pretty impactful player for the team. So, look out for what his development is this year. Left guard, they have Evan Brown, who's another guy that's pretty young. Not as young as in like 1 or 2 years in the league, but still young enough. Not really too much to know about him. They're just kind of trying to develop a culture at that offensive line, building a wall for Kyler Murray. So at the center position, you do have Froholt, who is an honorable mention center on the team on my list. Yeah, definitely the best offensive lineman, possibly like one or two best offensive linemen on the line. Definitely a guy that gets it done every Sunday. Definitely a leader, and a great pass protector there. At the right guard, you got Will Hernandez. He was honorable mention. He's the veteran. He's the guy that has been doing this for a while, and he's reliable. So overall, you got to give it to Hernandez. Definitely looking like he can be a guy. And at the right tackle, they do have Jonah Williams, who is not bad. He's been in the league for a while now. Was in Cincinnati for a while. He's still got some upside. It's a lot better than having DJ Humphries. So I think definitely having him is nice. And again, this offensive line is pretty young, so we'll see how this goes, and we'll see how their chemistry goes throughout the year. At the QB position, it's Kyler Murray. He's going to be the number one guy. I mean, he's the guy that they definitely lean towards, and they say this is the guy that we got. We drafted him for a reason. We know his playmaking ability, and we know how fast he is. He just needs to stay healthy. He's had some injuries, and it's kind of hurt them. It's hurt their franchise, and they don't need that. So I think Kyler Murray staying healthy is huge for him. It's definitely going to impact where they go, and how this franchise does move after a while. Like in terms of this season and in terms of the future. So overall, Kyler Murray's got to stay healthy. I think he really could produce some good numbers. At the running back position, you got James Conner, who's honorable mention. Yeah, he had a great year this past year. I mean, they kind of leaned toward him for the offense anyway. So overall, having him there is great. A power back, definitely, definitely quick for being such a big back there, and yeah, very reliable, and also the passing game. So that's a great sign to see that. When you look at the receiving core, you did have the draft pick Marvin Harrison Jr., who's a great draft pick. Definitely had a great college career. It may start out a little slow, but I do believe that Marvin Harrison Jr. can be super talented. I mean, he's got the size, the strength. He's got some speed to him, and he's got some great route running. So overall, I do believe he will be a pretty good factor. I think Kyler Murray will definitely look towards him, obviously, for some key moments this year. At the other side, you do have Wilson, who's a young receiver, unproven. I mean, not much to know about him. We'll just see how he goes in the season. Dortch is the next wide receiver, another young guy that is also unproven. Hasn't put up the numbers he probably wants to. So again, this is kind of a risky, also like unproven wide receiver group. So again, it's just a process here. At the tight end position, you do have Trey McBride, who is honorable mention tight end. Had a great year last year. Definitely a safety blanket for Kyler in Arizona. Definitely can be very productive again this year. Definitely can be a top 10 member sooner rather than later. So very young too. So I think he could be a stud for a while. With the defensive side of the football, you got a 4-3 base. You have defensive end Zaven Collins, who is needs to step up. Really, he was an outside linebacker. He was an edge. And now he's a DN. He just needs to step up. He needs to bring up some big numbers. They drafted him for a reason, to impact the team, to become a playmaker, to be a game wrecker. He needs to do that. But he's still young. He's still developing. At D tackle, Bilal Nichols, it's really just a prove it kind of thing. Can he actually play football? I think his numbers are a little underwhelming. I think the fact that he's been in the league for so long and he just hasn't had the impact by now it is a little concerning. But I mean, it's a D tackle. You know, it's a position of need that they needed. They are trying here with this team. Bilal Nichols isn't great, but we'll take it. They'll take it. Um, and then they got Lopez, who is a 30-year-old D tackle. He just needs to step up and do his assignment. I don't see him being a huge factor, but I mean, he's still going to be a guy that you want, that you need to produce. At the DN position, you do have Jones, Jonathan Jones. He's got some upside, definitely, or Justin Jones. He definitely got some upside. Played in Chicago, definitely was pretty decent there. So overall, I mean, not bad. At the linebackers, you got Wilson, who is Mac Wilson has had a rough career, man. Definitely hasn't been the star that everyone was assuming. So we'll see how he does. Middle linebacker, Kazir White, he just needs to stay on the field. He does do pretty well, but he just needs to stay on the field. At the other side, you got Gardeck. He's okay. Um, yeah, he's kind of a player that's gonna be just mid. He's mid. So overall, it's not like you're looking at a guy that can, maybe he can get better, but yeah, he's been there for too long, dude. That just hasn't produced the numbers that he needs to. Um, at the secondary level, you do have Murphy Bunting, who was solid last year, has had a solid, stats the past couple of years. Definitely gonna be a leader there. In terms of like, I know he's always been kind of a slot guy, so we'll see if he's going to be the number one corner. That's kind of risky, but we'll see how that goes. The On the other side, you got Starling Thomas the fifth. Don't know much about the guy. Definitely not bad, pretty young. So we'll see how he turns out to be. And at the nickelback, you do have Williams, who's young and also has not really been proven. So at the safeties, this is probably the strength of the team, really, man. And that's Buda Baker at free safety, who's number three. He does everything so well. Hard hitter for the size, and just honestly great to watch. And then strong safety, you do have Jalen Thomas, who is number 8 on the strong safety list. Another guy, very instinctual, great playmaker, super hard hitter. It's nice to see that. Um, so then special teams kicker Matt Prater. He's been doing this for years. Honorable mention there. Yeah, he's been doing this for years. He's like 40 something years old. I think he might be the oldest kicker in the league. Might be even the oldest player at this point in the league. But crazy, crazy good, great career here. Punter is Gillikin. He's solid, solid punter. And then DJ Dallas, the kick return. He had a kick return for touchdown actually in week one, so good for him. I think he's a solid kick returner. Yeah, I mean, only time will tell, but he seems like he could be pretty good. This is the roster of the Cardinals, and I mean, it is a rough one, but it is an experiment, and that's just what they got to think of it. Think of it from here on out is that we're just trying to get better. So, like, let's just roll with the punches here. All right. So their schedule. This is their schedule. Yeah, it's gonna be rough again. They're really not gonna win many games. Their record depicts 4-13 last year. It's going to be kind of a similar thing here. So they're going to definitely lose to Buffalo, LA, Detroit. Um, that's no question. That's a hard thing to play first 3 games of the year. Um, they lost to Buffalo, so that's already over with. They'll lose to the Rams and Detroit. They will beat the Commanders. They will lose to the Niners, Packers, Chargers, Dolphins, get a win against the Bears, and then lose to the Jets. Get a bye, Seahawks, Vikings, Seahawks again, Patriots, beat the Panthers, lose to the Rams, and then I give them a little bit of a trap game win against the Niners. I think the Niners do rest their players at that point, though. So yeah, I said the Cardinals win four. They're 4-13 again. It seems like they're not making any progress. They are. They just need to have their guys healthy. They also just need to prove it. There's just a lot of guys that I can't tell you who they are or how good they're going to be because they just got to prove it, man. At the end of the day, they just need to prove it. So, overall, not bad. I do think that this team can be pretty good, and only time will tell with this roster. It's just, you know, it's kind of let's see what happens here.